Hi everyone and welcome. If you're a mom trying to raise your child, support their education, manage their behavior, and still find time for your own goals, you are in the right place. I know how hard it is. Parenting is never easy, especially these days. Whether you're a mom or a dad, there are times when you feel overwhelmed, exhausted, and even like you're failing. You might ask yourself, am I a good parent? Am I doing enough? If you are a busy mom struggling with your child's education or behavior, and at the same time trying to be productive and find time for yourself, this video is for you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Venus. I am currently doing a PhD in physics. I also tutor university students online. I manage our home and I have a 4-year-old child. On the top of that, I am pregnant with my second child and now I am in my second trimester. So yes, I understand multitasking deeply. Maybe your situation is different. Maybe you are not pregnant or you are not working full time, but you're still struggling to manage everything. That is okay. We all face different challenges. What matters is learning how to balance things in a way that works for you. In this video, I want to focus on how to support your child's development while staying productive and finding time for yourself. Let me share a bit of my journey. My son is 4 years old and right now he is not attending kindergarten. I used to have full-time job as a teacher when he was 3. Back then he was in a kindergarten during the day, but I noticed he wasn't happy that time. I didn't have enough time for him and his behavior started to change. I felt incredibly guilty. At the same time, I was struggling to keep up with my PhD coursework and household responsibilities. I was constantly tired, stressed, and unable to give my best in any area. So last October, I made a big decision. I quit my full-time job. Yes. And now I work from home as an online tutor. I also homeschool my son with simple educational activities. This wasn't easy at first, but over time, I created a daily routine and disciplined schedule for both of us. I am honestly much happier now. Of course, there are still tough days, but I am learning how to manage them better. Let me be real with you. I don't make as much as money as I did when I was working full time, but it is enough for now. My husband also works, and together we can cover our rent, bills, and groceries. Maybe we can afford everything that we want, but we have whatever we need. And now I'm okay with this because I know my child needs me more than anything right now. He's only 4 years old. No one can replace a parent, not teachers, not friends. Yes, children need to socialize, but what they need the most is our love, connection, and a strong bond with us. One day, when my child is in school full time, I'll probably go back to working more hours. I'll have more time for my career, and hopefully, my PhD will be finished. But for now, this decision to stay home and work part time is the best one I could make for my life. So, what is the point of me sharing all of this? Because if you're struggling with time, money, stress, or feeling like you are not doing enough, you are not alone. What matters most is making thoughtful decisions that reduce your stress and help you raise your child with love, not punishment or yelling. Also, be realistic with your goals. I used to think that by age 3, my child would know how to read and write, that he would always listen to me, help me, and never throw a tantrum. But now I realize it was only fantasy, it was not realistic, and I had to let it go. Children need time, and we need time too. So, in the rest of this video, I'll talk about how I manage my child's behavior in a peaceful and respectful way, how I support his early education at home, and how I manage my own time as a mother, student, teacher, and homemaker without losing myself in the process. Because, yes, if we only focus on our children and forget ourselves, we'll start to feel burned out. You will feel like you're serving everyone except yourself, and that is not healthy. One of the most powerful ways I started taking care of myself as a mom was by changing how I respond to my child's behavior. That's where everything began to shift. Let's accept a big truth. We don't need to control our child's behavior. We need to control our own behavior first. I have experienced this so many times. When I speak to my child calmly, when I explain things gently, when I treat him with patience, he responds in a much better way. But when I raise my voice, when I show frustration or act harshly, he mirrors that. He becomes angry, he screams, he throws things, and I know deep inside that I am the one setting that tone. Children don't learn from what we tell them, they learn from what we show them. If you want a calm child, you must be calm. If you want a respectful child, you must show respect. If you're harsh or reactive, your child will be the same. It is as simple and as hard as that. I especially struggled with this when I had full-time job. I would come home exhausted and my child, of course, would want my attention. He wanted to read stories, to talk, to play, and sometimes I just didn't have energy. There were nights I couldn't even read him a bedtime book, and I saw how it affected him. His behavior changed, he became more frustrated, more emotional. That is when I understand we are the one who shape their emotional world. Sometimes when he throws a tantrum, yes, I feel like yelling or saying something like, if you keep crying, you won't get ice cream. Go cry in the other room. I will not play with you anymore. But these reactions only create fear, not understanding. Instead, I try to pause, breathe, and remember he is not giving me a hard time. He is having a hard time. So now I have a plan for every type of behavior he shows, like tantrums, anger, throwing toys, refusing to listen. I have a response ready, a calm response. For example, at bedtime we usually read one story, but sometimes he asks for two. Not because he really wants the second story, but because he wants more time with me. I know that. Earlier, I have tried the cry it out method, which is closing the door, leaving him alone, and let him to cry. Because some books or advices said they will learn by the time. But what I saw was different. He didn't learn to sleep alone, but he gave up. He stopped hoping that I would stay with him, and that broke my heart. He didn't feel safe. He felt abandoned. But then I realized that I have to focus on understanding what he really needs, not just reacting to his behavior. So, now before we start, I explain clearly. Tonight, we will read one story. After that, mommy needs her own bedtime routine so I can rest and have energy for tomorrow. He understands that now because I say it gently and clearly from the beginning. But some nights he still says, please stay with me, don't go. And instead of saying, no, I have to go, I say, okay, I will stay with you for 10 or 15 minutes, but I will not sleep with you and I will hold your hand and you sleep. This way he feels safe. And over time, because he trusts me, he doesn't always need me there anymore. And sometimes he even says, Mom, you can go. I want to read by myself. Can you believe that? But it didn't happen overnight. It took time, patience, and trust. Children act out because they feel something, not because they are bad. And as parents, our job isn't to suppress their feelings or punish their behavior. It's to guide them calmly and lovingly. So, if your child struggles with bedtime or throws tantrum or demand too much attention, don't just see the behavior. Ask, what is my child trying to tell me? What does he need right now? How can I respond with love? Yes, it will take time, but every effort you make will build trust, and that trust will lead to better behavior, deeper connection, and happier child. Trust the process. Don't expect perfection. Just show up consistently and calmly. Now that we understand, we should respond calmly and look for the reason behind our child's behavior. The next step is practicing it. And for me, that starts with writing things down. I ask myself two simple questions and write the answers. The first question, what was the reason behind this behavior? And the second one, what is the best solution? Then I try out the solution, observe how it works, and adjust if needed. Writing it down helps me reflect, stay consistent, and make thoughtful decisions instead of reacting in the moment. You can do this in a notebook or even just mentally, but writing is so much better. Let me give you a small example. One Sunday, my husband and I were sitting and watching a movie while our son was playing on his own. I noticed that he started getting bored, then frustrated, and eventually began acting out. That day I thought, rather than just asking him to behave or yelling at him to control himself, I needed to try a different approach. So I asked myself again those two questions. Why is he behaving like that? The answer was simple. We were not giving him attention. We were watching a movie and not engaging with him. He was bored. And then, second question, what the solution is? Also simple. Use our rest time to join him and give him the attention he needs. So, we choose an animated movie that's appropriate for 4 years old and we watched it together. Later, we made a family activity. That way, we are all relaxing, but he is also included and happy. It sounds small, but it made a big difference. That is what I mean by writing things down and making a plan. Whenever a problem comes up, I observe it, I search for a solution, and I write it. If I can't figure it out on my own, then I look online, ask other parents, talk to my own family. Once I find something that works, I write it down like a rule. When my child does this, I will respond with this. That way, I am not caught off guard every time. I don't feel overwhelmed and I don't lose my temper. I know what to do, and more importantly, I know why I am doing it. This simple habit of observing, writing, planning changed my life as a mother. I am not sharing this from a book. Most of the advice I found in the books didn't actually work for my real everyday life. What I'm sharing is based on my own experience with my own child. So remember, observe, reflect, write, and plan. Your child is learning every day, and so are you. Now, responding calmly to your child's behavior is just one part of the journey. To actually apply all these strategies, staying patient, spending quality time, being consistent, you need something even more fundamental, a good plan and a healthy mindset. Especially when you're balancing many responsibilities, none of this is easy without structure. That's why time management becomes so important. But it only works when you're well mentally, emotionally, and physically. So, before trying to keep your child happy, take care of your own well being. You need to be happy first. Life starts with you. Once you feel balanced, it becomes much easier to create that balance for your child too. So, let's talk about how to manage your time in a realistic and healthy way. We all have just 24 hours in a day, and in those 24 hours, you need to sleep, eat, rest, take care of your responsibility, and very importantly, you need time for yourself. Before all this, when my child was still a toddler, I didn't really know how to manage time. I used to stay awake until 3 or 4 a.m. just to finish my studies because I had no other option. And during the day, I was with my son, playing, teaching, taking care of him. That was my life. I was just surviving, but not managing well. Later, I realized I couldn't go on like this. Therefore, I needed a system, a real practical system. And that is how I found time management. Now I plan ahead. I write down what matters. I adjust based on my health and my goals. And most importantly, I try to keep it realistic. And let me be honest, my time management system has changed many times. In the beginning, I followed a routine that worked for 1 month. But then something would change, like my child's needs, my energy, my work hours. So I had to adjust it. For example, before I got pregnant, I had more energy. I could finish most of my daily tasks and still feel okay. But once I entered my first trimester, everything changed. I had nausea, vomiting, fatigue. I had to change my schedule to match my body's new need. Now that I am in my second trimester, I feel a little better, but still I am not as energetic as before. At the same time, I am preparing for my PhD qualification exam, which requires serious focus. So again, I adjusted my time plan. Here is the key point. You must adapt your time management to your life. Don't just copy someone else's routine from YouTube or Instagram. Build your schedule around your energy level, health, priorities, job, child's need, and family situation. Even if you don't have children, time management can be difficult. That's why you need to be intentional and flexible. Because without a clear plan, you will end up doing everything randomly. You won't find quality time for your child, for yourself, or even for your mental health. If you manage your time well, you can truly find space for everything: your workouts, your meals, your sleep, your child, your studies, your personal growth, even your social life. But that doesn't happen by accident. It takes clear and consistent time management. For me, one of the most effective methods is time blocking. At the end of each month, I sit down and plan the entire schedule for my next month. I ask myself, when should I wake up? What will my morning routine look like? What comes after that? For example, before pregnancy, I used to wake up at 5 a.m., which I found was the best time to focus deeply. I kept my morning routine short, about 30 minutes, and by 5:30 I would start studying for my PhD. That quiet block from 5:30 to 8 a.m. was my most productive and focused work time. Now I can't wake up that early anymore, so I have adjusted to a 6 a.m. wake up. And then I take about an hour for my morning routine, like a cold shower, some stretching, breakfast, and a few home chores. Then my study session runs from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. At 8 a.m., my son usually wakes up. When he does, I block out about 20 minutes to have breakfast with him and spend a bit of time together before returning to my own schedule. For lunch, I give myself a 2-hour window, but even that time is carefully planned. I know exactly when to cook, what to cook, when to rest, and when to get back to work. Without a clear plan, it's so easy to fall into distraction like watching random videos and wasting time. I also set aside 30 minutes to 1 hour each week to call my parents, my siblings, and my friends, because staying connected is important for my well-being. And whenever I have additional tasks or appointments, I make sure to write them down in my calendar so I don't forget. It sounds small, but these details matter because when you're a parent with many responsibilities, you can't rely on memory alone. Planning ahead saves your energy and reduces stress. Most importantly, I always include buffer time in my schedule, even just 10-minute breaks to focus on my child or refresh myself. These short pauses between tasks make a big difference. And you don't have to follow your schedule minute by minute. It's okay to adjust as the day goes on. For example, my calendar says I should start studying at 7 a.m., but sometimes I don't get free until 7:30 or even 8. I simply adjust my study session accordingly, and that is perfectly fine. And one more important thing is making your life easier to save time and stick to your schedule. For example, if you have a child, your home might not always be perfectly clean, and that is okay. You don't need to spend all your time cooking and cleaning. I block about 2 hours a day for these tasks, but honestly, it often takes more than that. And it is not really a task, it is a daily necessity. When I became pregnant, it became especially hard to clean 3 rooms every day: our bedroom, the living room, my child's room, and of course, the kitchen. I realized I was constantly moving between spaces, starting in one room, sleeping in another, eating in a third. It was exhausting. Therefore, I had to find a solution. Then I moved my desk into my child's room. I told him, from now on, I'll study here with you. We all eat here too. You won't be alone, and I will be with you. The only exception is when I have a class, then I go to the living room, and he knows not to disturb me. Now I only need to clean one room each evening plus the kitchen. My living room, bedroom, and corridor stay clean and now only need a quick cleaning once a week. It made everything so much simpler. But managing my own time wasn't enough. I soon discovered that true balance also meant helping my child manage his time too. Means if you're managing your own time, you also need to create a routine for your child. This changed everything for me. In the past, while I was studying, my son would often come to me and say, I am bored, play with me. He always needed direction. I used to suggest different activities like coloring, flashcards, reading, or drawing. But most of the time, he'd ignore my suggestions because I hadn't given him a plan, just random options. So I realized just like I need a clear schedule, he needs one too. Then we sat down together and created a daily routine for him. We started from the morning. For example, 8 a.m., waking up and do the morning routine, like getting dressed, making his bed, going to the toilet, washing his face, combing his hair, and having breakfast. He had been doing these steps since he was young, so it was already familiar. Then we moved on 9 a.m. I asked him that what do you want to do at this time? He chose playing with Legos, but I also knew that children don't usually stay focused on one activity for a full hour, so for each hour I helped him to break it into two shorter blocks. For example, after Legos, he said he wanted to coloring. We also added a glass of water every hour, and I drew little icons beside each activity to make it easier for him to follow. Then we printed it and stuck it on the wall so he could see it every day. This visual schedule helped him feel independent. If he felt bored, I just say, check your schedule, what time is it? What's next? And he'd look, see what was planned, and say, okay, it's drawing time or time to do my activity book. Of course, sometimes he skips things, That's normal because children need unstructured time too. But most of the time, having a visual routine reduced boredom and gave him direction. It also helped me to stay focused on my own tasks since he was no longer interrupting me every few minutes. In addition to his daily schedule, my son also has 3 learning sessions with me every day, each lasting about 20 minutes. These sessions are consistent and structured, which really helps both of us stay on track. The first session is for geometry and math. The second session is for reading and writing, things like alphabet practicing. And the third is for science. In the math and geometry sessions, he also has a daily plan. For example, today he might review counting from 50 to 100. Tomorrow might be about shapes, and after we finish each session, he marks it off with marker, which gives him a sense of accomplishment. In the reading and writing class, he's still learning. He is only 4 years old, so I don't expect him to read like a 7 or 8 years old. Instead, we keep it fun and age appropriate. For example, if today is about letter B, I'll prepare a short presentation and show him flashcards. He practices tracing or recognizing the letters, and we repeat the activities slowly over time. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistent exposure. Then, for his science class, we use a simple science book. At the beginning of each month, we numbered each page like August 1, August 2, and so on. So each day he knows exactly which page to do. After the lesson, if there is a related hands-on experiment that we can try at home, then we do it. But if it needs materials we don't have, then I show him a short 4 or 5 minute YouTube video to help him understand the concept visually. It's a great support tool. After his science class, he cleans up his toys and tidies his room. Sometimes we play a quick game to make it fun. Once we started the schedule, everything changed. Sometimes he asks me, Mama, can you set a timer for me? And we set it about for 20 minutes to clean. Then he cleans happily on his own will. Then I start cooking for dinner, and after doing dinner, we usually go outside to play and walking. And then in the evening, we have story time. But even that used to take up time each night just deciding which story to read. Now, at the end of each month, we sit down together and choose 30 or 31 story for each night of the upcoming month. We write the date inside each book with a pencil like August 1st, August 2nd, and so on. That way, when bedtime comes, there is no debate or delay. We just grab the book for the day and start reading. This routine has been a game changer. Now, my son knows exactly what to do throughout the day. There are no surprises, no unexpected demands on my attention, and this helps reduce stress for both of us. Now, during my study time, my child knows it's my focus time. I tell him from 7 to 11, Mommy is studying, you need to play on your own. And he understands and respect that. He knows that her mom has her own schedule and responsibility, and he has also his own schedule and responsibilities. When everyone has a plan, it's much easier to avoid conflict and stress. I remember that when my son was 2 years old, we had a bedtime and morning routine with pictures and checklists. He really enjoyed following that routine, but during the day we didn't have any scheduling or time management, and that caused a lot of problem. That's why I used to study mostly at night. I truly believe that starting routine and time management as early as age 3 can be very effective. It helps children learn responsibility, independence, and makes life easier for the whole family. What I want to say is, children also appreciate structure. They actually enjoy routine, discipline, and having clear expectation. When they know what's happening each hour or what they are supposed to do study today, they don't get as bored or restless. Even small children benefit from structure. They have their own energy, their own day, their own little goals. They want to feel like they are part of something, not just waiting around while you get things done. It might seem small or even unnecessary at his age, but what he is really learning is how to manage his time, how to plan, how to feel responsible for his day. And I believe that's the one of the best gifts we can give our children, which the habit of intentional living, just like we try to do for ourselves. If you're struggling like I did with your child and your all other responsibilities, believe me, spending just 1 to 3 hours to create a schedule for yourself and your child will really help you. And that means you, as a parent, can have more focused time to study, work, or simply take care of yourself without constant interruptions. And remember, if you notice something in your schedule isn't working, don't blame yourself or feel guilty. Just suggest it. You need to tailor it to fit your responsibilities, mental health, and physical health. Don't forget, it's not only about your child, it's about you too. Before taking care of your child, you must first take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health, physical health, diet, and well being. When you do this, motherhood becomes much more enjoyable and you will feel happier and more successful in your responsibilities. You might not complete every single task, and that's okay. We are not machines. The key is consistency. If you skip a day or two, maybe due to illness or any other reason, that's normal. When you're ready, just start again. It's important to be kind to yourself and understand that is okay to miss a day here and there. The most important thing is to keep going and not give up. Here is the lesson I learned that when things feel overwhelming, don't scream, don't panic, try to solve it. When I was young, I used to ask, why is this happening to me? Why is life so hard? But now I don't ask why anymore. I ask, what is the solution? What can I do right now to improve things? If I can't find it myself, I ask my husband, my family, or someone I trust. That's how you move forward. That's how you get out of difficult moments. This is what helped me to stay productive through my PhD studies with a child and while pregnant. These are not just tips, this is my real life, and I hope something in it helps you too. I want to remind you of something very important, that you are doing well, you are a good mom. If you're watching this video, it already means you care. It means you are searching, you are learning, you are trying to improve, and that is what good moms do. So please be kind to yourself. When you're kind to yourself, you feel lighter, you find more joy, more peace, and somehow you start finding time for everything that matters. Life will not always be easy, but it becomes easier when you stop stressing over every problem and start appreciating what you have right now. We are all human. Everyone struggles, whether they are parents, students, working full time. No one's life is perfect, but what we can do is learn how to face our problems with love and with solutions. And it starts with loving yourself, because when you love yourself, the world reflects that back to you. That's it from me today. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment and let me know. And if you have specific questions about time management, parenting, mental health, diet, or just how to stay sane with all these responsibilities, write it below. I'd love to share more of my experience and maybe help you in your journey too. Thank you so much for watching. You are doing great. Keep going. Bye bye.